Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Conor Moran. I work in the DYW national team leading on the Construction Work Tasters project. My email address is on screen alongside my mobile. Please feel free to get in touch with any questions or comments by email, text or phone, or you can find me on LinkedIn and message me there. We're here to have a discussion about Construction Work Tasters. And this webinar is for everyone who can either support or benefit from this project in one way or another, including employers, educators, local government colleagues, third sector partners, parents, carers, and young people themselves. You're all very welcome, and please do take a moment to message me with your questions and comments after listening to this presentation. The Construction Work Tasters project aims to introduce the construction sector to 2,800 young people in Scotland through the delivery of work tasters between now and June 2025. The project is led by Developing the Young Workforce, DYW, and is funded by CITB, and it is a Scotland-wide project. To break that down a little bit, what is meant by a work taster is in essence a condensed version of the traditional work experience week. It takes place over a time period of half a day to 2 days, and importantly, like a traditional work experience, this is delivered on site or in the work environment if that's not necessarily a site, and it is delivered by the employer. Those are the core elements to a work taster. The specific activities as part of the work taster day really are flexible. Your work taster could include activities like a site tour or an office tour, an introduction to staff members and explanations of their job roles, could include job shadowing, meeting subcontractors, a Q&A session with employees or current apprentices. It could include mock interviews, CV development, individual or group activities related to the job roles for that particular work taster. When it comes to the specific activities, we'll use the feedback which young people give throughout this project to develop that model for work tasters, which will be shared with industry. A work taster can be delivered by companies of all sizes working on projects of all sizes. It can be delivered by Tier 1, Tier 2 contractors, as well as by the subcontractors. A work taster can take place on site, or in an office, or in a combination of work environments. They can be run for one young person or for a group of 15 young people or more, depending on what your facilities allow. The core criteria really are on this slide for a work taster, and everything else, with the exception perhaps of a risk assessment and a proper health and safety induction at the start of the day, can be tailored to suit the capacity and needs of the employer delivering the work taster. To bring some clarity to that broad term young people, this project is primarily aimed at 16 to 25-year-olds, but it is no more targeted than that. In other words, it's open to all 16 to 25-year-olds, which includes your 16-year-old who is determined to go off and do a joinery apprenticeship, but they might not have seen what a joiner actually does on a day-to-day basis. It's also for your 16, 17-year-old who has no idea what they want to do at the end of school. And if they don't have friends or family who work in construction, it might be a sector they know nothing to little about. And work tasters can introduce them to career paths that they might not yet be familiar with. Work tasters are for young people who are in college or university and are on more vocational pathways into the sector already. A work taster provides that workplace insight and greater awareness of different job roles. It's also for young people at college or university who are studying less vocational subjects like maths, English, geography or legal studies. They might have left school and moved into a positive leaver destination, which is great, but they might still be unsure about what they want in terms of a career when they finish their education. A work taster introduces them to a sector and the roles within it where they can apply their learning. Work tasters can also be part of existing employability programs, which might be run by local authorities, local charities, or by national organisations like Barnardo's Works. Those programs might be run over several weeks, and a work taster can provide that real life insight into the construction working environment for the young people taking part in those programs. Then there's everyone else who fits that age category, but does not necessarily fit into one of the groups I've just mentioned. So young people who are seeking employment, or who are seeking new employment. Young people might leave school or college and get a job in retail, hospitality, or any other sector, but it might not be quite right for them. or the sector might not be as secure as it was a couple of years ago. And again, for those young people who don't have friends or family in construction, it can be difficult to know what a career in this industry entails, and a work taster can provide that introduction. And then there's that term construction, which also needs to be clearly defined for this project. Work tasters are a chance for young people to learn about the traditional construction roles which come to mind when you hear the term. So joiners, roofers, bricklayers, plasterers, crane operators, all those job roles which are in high demand across Scotland. But work tasters can also focus on other job areas and can introduce young people to roles that they're less familiar with, like the professional roles such as compliance managers, civil engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, commercial and risk managers, or those digital roles such as BIM managers and CAD modelers, or the growing number of green jobs that we're seeing in the sector, such as environmental advisors and engineers or sustainability managers. There really is something for everyone in this sector. Construction is the sector which is literally building a better Scotland, and that requires people with the widest range of skill sets and interests to match the increased diversity of job role that we're seeing in the sector. Recruitment has been identified as a barrier to the construction sector meeting its ambitious targets in the coming years, and it's been a challenge for some time now. Those recruitment challenges are resulting in an increasing skills gap in the sector, which is exacerbated by an ageing workforce, where as many as a third of construction employees are due to retire in the next 15 years. And there's also that real relative lack of diversity in the industry. There's also a misconception and lack of understanding about what the construction sector can offer as a career avenue and who it's for and who it's not for. Only 8% of 16 to 18-year-olds consider themselves very likely to have a career in the construction sector. And when you break that down, that's 13% of males and 3% of females aged 16 to 18. But we know that this sector is one with fantastic opportunities for young people, and there's a real need for the sector to bring in more young people with that greater variety of interests and skill sets to match the increased diversity of job roles that I just mentioned. Work tasters are for every 16 to 25-year-old in Scotland. And by promoting the sector to more young people, there is the expected outcome that we'll introduce construction to a more diverse audience. And here's why that's important. A recent study explored the benefits of equality and diversity on decision-making at work. It discovered that teams make better decisions than individuals 66% of the time, but diverse teams make better decisions 87% of the time. And this is because the different experiences of a diverse group allow varied approaches to problem solving. And when you consider that research suggests decision making can drive up to 95% of business performance, it becomes clear that diversity and inclusion will be fundamental pillars for companies when it comes to facing and overcoming the challenges which the sector is experiencing today and will experience in the future. As well as opening up the sector to more young people who might not yet be interested in construction, work tasters can play an important role for the young person who is already interested in the sector. If I can circle back to the point that I made earlier when I said that work tasters are for the 16-year-old who is determined to do a joinery apprenticeship, but they might never have seen what a joiner actually does on a day-to-day basis. This is something which the sector experiences too much of, and what can often happen is a young person feels that they don't want to continue in school and they want to learn a trade, but without knowing what a joiner does, in this example, on a day-to-day basis, those young people can all too often drop out of their course or apprenticeship when the reality of the job does not match their expectation. A work taster is a way to help those young people who are interested in the sector to make better choices about what it is exactly they want to do. To stick with this example, if that young person thought they wanted to be a joiner, decided that was no longer the case after spending time with a team of joiners, then that's not a bad outcome, because we might just have avoided the situation where they go on to drop out of a course, and instead they now have the opportunity to explore better options which suit their skills and their interests. This slide is called industry benefits, but as we can see, for every benefit there is to the sector, there is equal benefit for young people who take part in work tasters. They'll have the opportunity to make more informed decisions if they're already interested in the sector. and if they're still exploring their options, then this is a chance to introduce them to a sector which makes up roughly a tenth of the UK's workforce, and can introduce them to job roles and companies they might never have heard of. And some of those jobs might perfectly match the interests, skill sets and career ambitions of the young people being introduced to construction. So what makes this project different? Nothing new is being created through this project. A work taster type experience is something that many employers have done for many years. The idea behind this project, however, is that it's industry coming together to work more collaboratively to address the significant recruitment challenges that we're facing. This sector has delivered fantastic programs for young people for a long time. This project aims to take the learnings from all that work, take the best elements from various employer young person engagement, and create a work taster model which is more consistent and leads to increasing the quality and quantity of taster opportunities for Scotland's young people. This project will be run in partnership with the construction sector. Work tasters will be delivered by those employed in construction, and partners include national management contractors as well as smaller local construction sector employers. We'll create a work taster model which is flexible to the needs and capacity of the employer, but is consistent in respect of the quality of experience for the young people attending them. And by creating this tried and tested model, we'll hopefully support more employers who want to engage in this type of activity but might not know where to begin. We're developing that model by having all young people who take part in a work taster complete the same evaluation form before and after the work taster, regardless of which employer it is that's delivering. And these forms are allowing us to capture some really important information at a national level. And from that, we'll learn what's working well from a work taster point of view, such as, is this an effective way for young people to learn about the sector? And is it an effective way for industry to attract talented young people? By having a national approach to this project, we also hope to make it easier to connect employers to the right young people for opportunities like work tasters. And we'll do that in a couple of ways. First is by linking employers to those established local partnerships where they already exist. For example, Stirling's Employer Engagement Forum or North Lanarkshire's Construction Forum, as those groups already have the right people around the table to understand how work tasters fit into local plans and the needs of young people locally. The second way, where we have really good examples of employers connecting locally or regionally to educators and their local authority colleagues and third sector partners to deliver impactful outcomes for young people, we'll share those examples of what's working well throughout the wider network involved in this project. I've already covered this a little, but this project really is about acknowledging that there's a lot of great stuff happening out there in this space. It's capturing what's working well, and it's taking those learnings and sharing them so more opportunities can be provided for Scotland's young people, and in turn everyone will benefit. As well as making it easier to connect employers to the right young people, we also want to make it easier for young people to connect with employers, and there's a section on the Work Tasters website, which is worktasters.scot, where young people can register their interest in attending a work taster, and educators can also register their interest on behalf of a young person or a group of young people. And by having almost a waiting list of young people who want to attend a work taster, we'll be able to go to employers and let them know, or let you know, where there are young people who would like to attend a work taster, and we can then work together to make that happen. This is an element to the project that I've really not promoted at all yet, but there are already a number of young people who are getting in touch to say that they're interested in attending a work taster in various job roles and categories, from quantity surveying to plastering to roofing to joinery. So what happens next? Before we look at those next steps, I just wanted to touch upon a quick example of a work taster working well. DYW, Lanarkshire and East Dunbartonshire have been fully supportive of this concept of work tasters since our first discussion, and using their existing connections in the industry, they organised with Story contracting for a work taster to take place. Story were thinking about this year and their upcoming apprenticeship opportunities. So a work taster was organised for 8 young people from schools across North Lanarkshire who had expressed an interest in a construction-related apprenticeship. And this took place in October of last year in 2022. And during this work taster, the students were able to find out about what goes into constructing a brand new bridge underneath a railway line. They were able to learn more about the rewarding careers available in the construction industry and received one-to-one career advice sessions from civil engineers and quantity surveyors. Following on from this session, Story invited those students to join the project team for a work placement to gain hands-on experience, which has been arranged in alignment with the school timetables. And after the work placements, the students were invited to take part in a CV and interview workshop to support them with their future job applications. An overview of the Story graduate apprenticeship programme was also given so that those interested in working with the company could learn more about their options. And one of those 8 young people who were first introduced to Story through a one-day work taster will begin their graduate apprenticeship with them later this year. And this is just a great example of how work tasters can work well for all involved. The activity of a work taster was introduced into the regional DYW framework, matched to pupils who would benefit from the opportunity, and was run by working with an employer who could offer something to the young people, whilst also benefiting themselves by having a chance to really get to know a group of young people at a time when that company and the industry is looking for talented young people to join it. This is just one example, but over 80 young people have already taken part in construction work tasters in recent weeks. And these next steps are hopefully simple enough to move this project forward at quite a pace. If you're an employer who has an interest in any of the following, either recruiting apprentices or entry-level workers, meeting community benefit or social value targets, or just supporting young people into your industry, then reach out to me or other local employability partners, whether that's DYW, regional groups or local authorities, to create work taster opportunities for young people. If you want to be involved and want support along the way, then definitely contact me, as it's what I'm here for. If you're working with young people, either as part of the DYW network, Skills Development Scotland, local authorities, third sector organisations, and you're working with construction employers already, please do have a conversation with them about work tasters. And if you need my support to link up to employers, you can email me or complete a short form on the Work Tasters website and let me know how many young people you're working with and any other relevant information that might help me to provide work tasters for those young people in partnership with industry. And if you're a young person, you can also register your interest following the link which will be below this video. Please also visit the Go Construct website and My World of Work and learn about all the jobs and career roles which the construction sector offers. There might be a few that you're not yet familiar with, but might perfectly suit your own interests and skill sets. The final point I just wanted to touch upon was how we can work together and why we should work together. As a sector with a looming skills shortage, we hope to encourage more young people than ever to pursue a career in construction by opening up opportunities to more young people. The problem with construction is not our industry, it's the awareness and perception of the industry that's the problem. Construction has much to offer by way of stability and security, progression, variety of roles and pride in contributing to social and environmental improvement. The challenge is reinforcing those strengths and getting that message across early and in an engaging and lasting manner. At the same time, we must address the weaknesses around the perception of the industry, creating an inclusive environment, providing more and greater access to work experience. And there is nobody better to deliver this work than employers themselves, which is why I'm asking for your support today and throughout this project's journey. The challenges of the last 2 or 3 years have shown that this great industry can pull together and be a force for good. And it's time to focus our efforts on skills and to do that again. The final thing from me is just to say thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions or are interested in learning more about how this project can support you, please contact me through whatever channel works best for you. Thank you.